Hi everyone, this is Kyle at 888 VoIP. For those early attendees who have already joined us, just want to say hi. We'll get started right at the top of the hour. We'll give folks a few more minutes to join us, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hi everyone, this is Kyle at 888 VoIP. I'm the vendor business manager here. Appreciate everyone making some time in their day to meet with us, join this webinar, and discuss the topics related to the T5 series of desk phones that Yealink currently has in the marketplace. Go ahead and just touch off on a couple pieces of housekeeping so we can get started right at the top of the hour. We'll have a question and answer session at the end of today's webinar. So if there is a topic you want to revisit or a question that comes to mind, feel free to use the chat feature as a part of the GoToWebinar tool that we're using today. Certainly if you want to make a note of it, just send it as I go through by all means, but may not get to it to the end of the presentation when we do have that Q&A session. And secondly, we will be drawing a winner for from one of the attendees today to provide a giveaway, just as a thanks for taking time out of your day to be with us to discuss Yealink, and so we want to recognize that. So as a way to say thank you. So just two different things that we'll go through at the end of today's webinar as we go along. Just keep in mind that we'll have a couple things open at the end and some time to discuss. So with that being said, I hope everyone can hear me all right. If there is an issue, feel free to use the GoToWebinar tool. Chat's a great feature for that. But we will get started right here on time, hopefully, and last about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then open it up for a Q&A session. So looking today at the presentation, really what we're going to focus in on with the discussion is Yealink's T5 IP phone desk series, and discuss in detail the features of the phone series and how they differentiate to the existing products that Yealink has on the market and has had on the market over time, so that we can understand how we can position the T5 phones going forward, understand and articulate the values associated to the new phone models, and compare them if you have customers that have existing products, and kind of let them know and assure them of the core features that are transitioning, but also the enhancements that have been added. So want to start by taking a look at the current desk phone portfolio that Yealink has collaborated and put together over the past few years. The T2 series down at the bottom has been a real mainstay for Yealink. It's been in the channel as long as I've been selling Yealink, which is almost 5 years now. And there's been a couple updates, but for the most part, it's been a steadfast series of phones the T2 series has over time that Yealink has had in the space. And then the T4 was a great addition to the T2 series. It was a nice time replacement for the T3 series. If those of you out there have worked with those in the past, the 38, 32, and those phones, this was a great upgrade from the T38 and a real transition for Yealink into the ITSP segment and community because of the quality and diverse nature of the T4 series. And so over time, the T4 series has really become the keystone driver of Yealink sales, and it's been a real strong force in the market. But it, as with all technologies, has come to age a little bit. There are certain features and lessons learned that Yealink has reviewed and developed and incorporated into the new products and what we've seen as a result of the T5 series. And so the T5 series is going to really just be a new updated series of IP phones that is in the same tradition of its predecessors, the T2 and T4, really captures what worked really well with that previous generation of phones, but also build upon that, ensuring that the IP phone is current and matching the workflow needs and functions, not only of the service provider, but of its ultimate end user. And so with this lay of the overall IP phone portfolio, wanted to start to focus in on the T5 series as it stands as of today. Initially, about 2 years ago, when the first T5 phones came out to market, there was a T52 and a T54S product. And over time, Yealink took some lessons learned from that particular model and reevaluated those particular phones and then enhanced what they had established with the T52 and 54, and then released the T53, T53W, and now the T54W. And so we see within the series that those three phones, along with the T57W, round out the low, mid, and high level applications for the T5 series. That is very similar to what we see with the T4 and T2 series, where there's a variety of different feature sets and price points based upon the different models to align with the costs as well as the workflow requirements of our customers. And so above and beyond that, we still see the T58 and the 58 with camera, but in a slightly different format. It's still an A series phone, T58A and T58A with camera. To note that it's an Android operating phone. That's a big difference between the 58s and what we see the 53, 54, and 57 running. Those particular phones run a Linux-based operating system. So the T58A is a step up from the Prime Business Phone series because of the Android operating system, but also, as you can see, has a larger color touchscreen and can incorporate not only SDK and a variety of Android apps, but also with the 58A camera, a Cam 50. It's a nice SIP endpoint, pairs really well with IP-based access control, intercoms for an example, as well as other video phones. But above and beyond even that, we have the VP59, which is a really rock solid video conferencing endpoint, more so than it is, I would say, a desk phone. It is purpose built to be video first, still utilizes an Android operating system that makes it very flexible and easy to use, but it is an IP-based product as well, so you can dial and connect in a variety of ways, much more so than you can with the T58A camera. So end to end, starting from the T53 and ending with the VP59, we see a lot of parity from what we saw with the previous generation T4, T2 from a core feature set perspective, but certainly there's been quite a bit of feature enhancements to stay current and to meet the need of our customers and of the ITSP reseller. Now, just to set some more context and now draw back to why the T5 versus the T4, or what really is a good reason to position and pitch a customer who may be using T4s today to then upgrade to the T5 series. And I think that conversation starts with comparing model to model. It just is a good way to set some context. And so we see with the T41, 42 models, that compares directly to a T53, 54. With the 46, we see a very similar feature set layout with the unique design of the T50 series with the heads-up display, but the T57 directly compares to the T48S. So as I mentioned before, just building off of what Yealink had established as really successful and important features with these previous generation phones have been transitioned now into the upgraded and new T5 series. And so there is a bit of a price difference between the T4s and the T5s. On average, it's about 10%. But we're also going to talk about in this presentation where that value comes in. What do you get with that 10% difference? And so with that, we'll kind of run one by one through some of the specific enhancements made to the T5 series. We'll start by looking at the fully adjustable LCD screen. This was a good lesson learned from the T52 and 54S release. The new series, starting with the T53, all of the screens have a very unique design. It's a heads-up style design. Previously, a few of the displays were not adjustable. That's now been updated and upgraded so that all the phones, starting with the T53, have the adjustable view LCD, so that can be custom fit to the specific user's preference or the environment in which it's operating. Specifically on the T57, I wanted to highlight that it's a very similar color touchscreen to what we saw utilized with the T48S, which many users said that they greatly liked, and it was a really strong feature at the end of the day for why Yealink won out originally, is that the fully color touchscreen on the T57 is adjustable as well. So not only do you have completely keyless color touchscreens, it's in a adjustable format. So it just, again, builds off of what we saw as a very crucial feature on the T48. You may have also seen in the past the T56 deployed and quoted. The 57W is now the replacement for the T56A. That phone is now most currently used in select Microsoft applications, but that's an Android operating phone. If we're looking at this Linux comparable phone to like a T48, it's going to be your T57W now. All right, second enhancement to review here is that the T5 series supports built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth without the requirement or addition of a dongle. There were other series of phones, T4, T5, that require the use of a USB-based adapter to support one or the other. You could only get support for Wi-Fi or support for Bluetooth, and then over time, the standard built-in feature of Bluetooth was added with select models, and now we see both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi being built in to the phone, taking away the requirement of an additional accessory. So going back to the 10% cost difference, this is one of the main points that I would bring up to our customers is if in the past you had to use a BT40 or a WF40, going forward, that requirement is no longer there for a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi application. Another unique enhancement to the T5 that I really like is the ability to essentially make a desk phone a Dect base station. The T5 series of phones currently now supports the addition of a DD10K USB Dect dongle. And that Dect dongle effectively is going to allow for the registration of 4 separate wireless handsets to just the desk phone. So there's no requirement for a separate base unit. Like, for example, Yealink has the W60B. That is a purpose-built Dect base unit. That would no longer be required if you wanted to extend the range coverage or efficiency of a T5 phone, you could just go with a dongle in place of the 60B. If you wanted to, let's say, for example, support a retail environment where you might have a front desk versus a back office, but maybe have a shared line or have one or two extensions, and cost is crucial, and reducing costs in any way you can would be a great play. So you can now pitch a DD10K for a much lower cost compared to a W80B, but still take advantage of the Dect range and quality and capabilities. So this application is very, very easy. You just buy the Dect adapter separately, and then you go ahead and register the handsets to the phone itself. Any current Dect handset 56 or 53H will support this feature. Another unique feature to Yealink is the Acoustic Shield technology. This has been in development for a little while. Yealink's been working on this. They understand that not only is price an important factor of products development, but so is quality, and so is the understanding the operating environment of the endpoint. So they've developed the Acoustic Shield technology as a way to cut down on background noise in the operating environment the phone works in. It's essentially just a noise barrier. It creates a small ring around the phone when in use, either on speaker or to the handset, or with a headset, which is a unique feature as well. That creates a ring, essentially blocking excess noise and really cutting down on the environmental noise. It's something that, like I said, Yealink's been working on for a long time and is now a standard on the T5 phone. If you've worked with Yealink over time, you may have noticed that as new phone models roll out, new phone series, so do new sidecars, and that's no different for the EXP50 and the T5 series. However, the unique part about the T5 series is that we have both backlit and graphical LCD gray screen phones like we see with the T53, but we also have color screen LCD. And so with a sidecar in the past, Yealink would have created perhaps two separate sidecars if they wanted to have support within the series. That is no longer the case now with an EXP50. It is going to self-adapt specifically to the IP phone model it's connected to. So that's a nice cost saver, and it also expands the use case for the sidecar. The EXP50 just connects to the unit by USB, the phone by USB, and will adjust based upon its parent connector. If you have folks that are on the old T5S series model, or if you just want to kind of rack your brain and understand, hey, what was this T52 or 54 you mentioned in the past? This is just a quick look at a real close look at the screen difference. Not only did the T53, 53W, 54W add an adjustable LCD screen, it also increased the size. We went from 2.8 inches to 3.7. It's not a huge jump, but it is quite large if you consider, just the scale that we're working within. So that's been a nice transition, as well as there's more standard design features between the 5 series, but also a bigger, clearer picture on the screen. I briefly mentioned this when we looked at the overall T5 series, but both the 58A and 58A with camera and the VP59 support and run an Android operating system. It's 7.1 on the VP59 and 5.1 on the 58. My personal belief and opinion is that the VP59 is purpose-built as a video phone. It really is a video-first endpoint. I would consider it as an entry point into Yealink's video conferencing suite of products more than I would a SIP phone. And that's based upon the ability that it has and the features that you see here on this slide. So to include the 1080p quality, HDMI output for a display to be connected right to the phone, and a really large 8-inch color touchscreen and nice 2-megapixel camera. But for select uses and for lower cost applications, the T58A and 58A with camera is a great play. for voice or video applications that require some sort of Android support, or they do want to incorporate the video conferencing aspect to their environment. So great SIP-based phone, registers to most PBXs pretty seamlessly. You can do video right over the PBX using SIP, using an extension or DID or SIP URI address. There are select video conferencing SDKs that are out there that do work relatively well with the 58A. Be better to run on the 59 just to have more capability. But the new 58 phone series as well as the VP59 are certainly an enhanced and updated version of what we've seen in the past from Yealink with the previous versions of the 58 and 56A. And lastly, just wanted to directly compare features that are on the T5 that are not going to be found on the T4, just to review. So first of all, we have the adjustable LCD screen that is specific to the T5. We don't see that on any T4 phone. Built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi in place of having to utilize USB adapter. The T5 series uses that cordless feature to incorporate Dect handsets and effectively make the IP phone a base unit for Dect. And lastly, the incorporation of Acoustic Shield, because it's been a technology that Yealink has been developing over time. It wasn't available at the release point of the T4, and now has been incorporated into the T5 series. So all goes back to what do you get? When your customer asks you, what do we get if we pay 10% more for the T5 phones or choose to upgrade to the T5 phones? It all really comes down to these specific features, especially if they're coming off of a T4 series phone. So a couple more features just want to touch on real quick that are unique to the T5. They don't necessarily directly compare to the T4, but the EHS40, it's a sidecar, electronic hook switch used for the incorporation of headsets. It's a new EHS adapter specifically made for the T5. The connection's a little bit different on the T5 series phones than it is with the T4 to Dect headsets. We talked about the cordless feature. We mentioned it supports up to 4, but comparing it to the T4, but it also can support up to 8 handsets together with a base unit, the 80B or 60B. My apologies. There's a unified firmware between all T5 phones that run the Linux operating system, so 53, 53W, 54W, and 57W all use the same firmware edition, so that cuts down on storage space and upgrade times, and this makes that overall ongoing management process that much smoother and easier. And then we see local phone support for conferencing. So instead of using a conference bridge, if you want to have a 5-person or less meeting, these phones will support local 5-way bridging just by dialing an extension. So that's a nice cost saver as well. So with that, I just want to wrap up today's presentation. I know we talked a lot about the features within the T5 series, but there's a lot going on with Yealink. They never really do stop. They're always looking for the next way to improve their products. And I mentioned it a couple of times, a little Freudian slip here, but the W80B base unit is due to be released as far as shipping to the US here in the next about probably 30 days or less. Yealink announced it recently, but we wanted to touch on it as well. The W80B is a new multi-cell base unit. And if you guys haven't worked with this in the past, basically it's a very simple way to extend the Dect coverage that you have from a base unit in a linear way. A limitation of Dect in the past, especially with the Yealink IP phones that they have currently on the market, is that you can only create like an orbit-based network for Dect, where you have a core base unit, maybe some repeaters around, but the phones can only register to a central base unit. Going forward now with the W80B, that's going to be completely different. You can actually daisy chain multiple 80B units together to have a very linear Dect network, so to speak, and you can register handsets to multiple Dect units with this technology. Actually up to 100 handsets and 100 simultaneous calls. So it's a great enhancement to the Yealink Dect technology that's already in the market today. I think it puts them on a very competitive plane with some of the other products out there in the space. We're really excited about bringing this to market. So hopefully we'll have this in our warehouse maybe in the next 60 to 45 days. We're still working those details out. But if you believe you have an opportunity or would like to learn more about the W80B or just a multi-cell base unit type of Dect deployment, feel free to give us a call. We'll be more than happy to chat with you about that. If you do call and we do talk about W80Bs, we may or may not, hopefully we'll talk about Yealink promotions. There are two effectively going on right now, tied to the T5 series of phones. If you're a net new purchaser of T5 phones, that is, you've never bought them in the past from us, you may have bought T4, T2, T3, who knows. But if you've never bought T5 in the past, you can apply to get a free T53 or 54W. Also, we'll get a 60% discount off of a demo, what's one demo unit of a T53, 54, or 57. Also, for our West Coast partners in particular, we want to continue to support you guys. We're kind of new out west. We opened up a Reno branch office a little over a year ago. But in particular, through the end of the year, any partners that we have in the listed states out west there, we can take your application to get a free T53 or 54W demo. If you're interested in doing that, please email salesteam@888VoIP.com. That's salesteam, all one word, at 888VoIP.com. Be more than happy to chat with you about getting you set up with a free 53 or 54W. All right, so that brings us to the end today. Went a little bit over, but I think we covered a good bit of detail related to the T5 series of phones, how they compare to the existing products in the marketplace, maybe give you guys some information that you can bring to your customers if they're considering upgrading or transitioning their current IP phone solution. But with that, we'll open up a Q&A sessions. I do see some questions in the chat that have come in since we've gotten started. I'll read those out loud here in just a second. If you don't have any questions, you got a jet, totally understandable. Just want to say we appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us, to listen to this information, to stay updated about not only Yealink, but also 888 VoIP. So thank you very much to everybody for taking time out of your day to be with us today. And if you do got to go, hope you enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week. And it could be worse. You could be in Buffalo. There is a foot of snow on the ground here, and it's about 20 degrees. So if you're not here, lucky you, and thank you again. So with that, we'll talk some Q&A. Looks like we've got a couple questions. Let me just open this up here and read them off. All right, so there's a question asking about how these particular phones will interface with Teams. This is very interested. How will these work with Teams? And Teams is the newest, latest, greatest Microsoft UCaaS platform that's out there. The next generation from Skype for Business, which was the next generation for Link. But the saga continues. So anyway, yes, Teams. These phones in particular, the ones that we talked about today, 53, 53W, 54W, 57W, these are Android-based phones. And so those particular phones, those are Linux-based phones. And those particular phones will not support incorporation with Teams because they require Microsoft and Teams Android operating systems. So Yealink has a specific set of phones within the T5 series. That's going to be the T56A-Teams, 58A-Teams, and also the VP59-Teams that will work with Teams. And above and beyond that, there's a more entry-level, lower cost phone that Yealink also has available specifically and only for Teams. It's called the T55A. That is an Android-based phone, but only is available for Teams and Skype for Business applications. So the T5 series is kind of the core skeleton, if you will, and structure for all things Teams for Yealink. But the caveat being it has to be an Android-based phone, so anything we see running Linux is a no-go as far as Teams is concerned. So another question has come in. I was told the 54W is going to be able to support Dect, like the T41, the 41P was able to. So that is now the case with the T53W, 54W, anything that has the USB, so it's the whole T5 series. So long as you add the DD10K accessory. So that's the caveat, is the phone needs that DD10K accessory to admit the Dect frequency, but will also allow you to use that desk phone as a base unit, so you can register individual wireless handsets to the particular phone. I would check to see if you already have a T5 phone, what your firmware is. Run to support.yealink.com to get the latest and greatest if you don't currently have that, just to make sure that you're good to go there. But that should be currently available as long as the firmware and accessories are utilized with the phone. So a question came in, could I have more information on the mobile phone Bluetooth feature? So the built-in Bluetooth of the T5 phone will allow you to pair your cell phone, Android or iOS, to your desk phone. And so what you can do then is essentially take a call on your cell phone and then park it, pick it up on your desk phone. That's the key step, is no matter how you begin the call, you have to park it, the phone call itself, before you transition to your phone. So the issue is when you get far enough away from your desk phone, you lose that connection. So this is really kind of more utilized when receiving or on a call, you're using your cell phone, walking to your desk, than the reverse. But that's the core step, is you take that call, park it real quick, and then pick it back up on your preferred device. So a good question came in, are there now 2 USB ports? We no longer need Wi-Fi or Bluetooth dongles, but could we use a Dect dongle and a sidecar at the same time? Good question. The answer is there's 1 USB port. So specific to that application, no. It's one or the other when it comes to using a USB port for your sidecar or for Dect. You can utilize basically your BLFs on the screen of the 54, as well as your line keys on the wireless handsets themselves. But it is a limitation, yes, if you are looking at it from that context, that there is only 1 USB port. But to your point also, it is because there's built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi support. Another quick question, is the T58A with camera simply a T58A plus a separate camera? Yes, is the answer to that. Yealink has a separate camera accessory. It's a USB camera. It's 2 megapixels. It's called the CAM50, CAM50, all one word. And that just comes in the box. If you get it, 58A-cam, or if you just one day after deploying a 58A realize or would like to use the phone as a video endpoint, you can certainly buy the CAM50 after the fact as an accessory. Another question, since there's a T53 and 53W, does the 53 not have wireless? That is correct. So this was a cost saver and a good point to clarify, to really provide an entry point to the T5 series. There had to be some sort of cost adjustment, price adjustment to make it attractive from that standpoint. So enter in the T53. So the T53 has Bluetooth, but does not have Wi-Fi built in. That is so it can more closely compare to your T41 or 42 if you have a customer who's previously used those or familiar with those. We can get a copy of the slides to you. I got a question. We'll get a copy. There'll be a copy or recording of this webinar on our website, but I'll make a note of who's asking. If you guys have a request or if you want to just have these on file, we're happy to send those to you. Another question came in. Sorry, I'm just skipping over a couple of things because I don't know some of the answers to these. I will forward them on as soon as I can to more technically savvy personnel, we'll call it. But I just want to let you know that I see them. I may not have an answer right here for you. A question did come in. Is there a firmware for the T5 series to run SIP and Teams in a hybrid mode? And the answer there is yes, actually. It's specifically for the T58, 56, and 55A because those are the Android operating phones. But to answer your question, yes, there is a hybrid mode where you can actively switch between a Teams interface on the desk phone screen or a essentially normal or standard IP-based user interface and registration to the phone. So that's a pretty neat feature. You can carry essentially dual registrations, one to Teams and one to an IPPBX. There is a specific firmware version that you need to be on to run that. I am looking that up right now. That's why I'm kind of battling here. I will give you that version 1 second. I believe it's the most current version that Yealink has out without reading the support notes. But if you go to support.yealink.com, it has all of the past firmware revisions as well. But currently I see 58.15.0.53. I think this started on the previous revision, but nonetheless, that firmware is out. If you have a request or you just want to test it out and to see how it looks, you can pull that right from the support.yealink.com portal. So a question came in regarding the cordless setup. Can we make the T5 phone a Dect base unit but still set up the cordless handsets as an additional extension, or is it mirroring the desk phone? The short answer is both. Either you can run it in two different ways. You can have a desk phone and a wireless phone share a single extension, or you can have them support multiple extensions. That is up to you. Let's see what else we got here. So the T5 Wi-Fi, does it support 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz? Yes, it does support both. I mentioned the VP59 has HDMI out. Can it be used with Zoom meetings? Yes, it can. There's a couple different ways you could do it with Zoom. But yes, so you could use a browser or you could use the Zoom application. It would be an SDK-based application, I believe you'd have to utilize there. But yeah, Zoom, BlueJeans, GoToMeeting, web-based products aren't super optimized from just if you're running them in like a Chrome or Firefox, it's better to use the application. So I point you to any SDK that would support that first. But yes, the HDMI feature is a nice feature because not only can you extend the display of the phone to a more traditional, desktop PC monitor, but it also comes with a USB extension cable so that you can move that USB camera that comes on the VP59 to the top of the display that you're going to use as well, so you're not constantly looking back and forth between the top of the phone and a display for detail. So neat feature too, that VP59 also supports wireless content sharing. Yealink has a WPP20 product. It's an accessory for their video conferencing solution that you could also utilize. So if you're using a PC and you want to share some content into the meeting and all you have is your VP59, you can use the WPP20, pair that to your desk phone, and then share whatever is on your desktop. Pretty neat feature, and that's also why I call it a video phone more than it is a SIP phone or IP phone, desk phone. So yeah, so there's an interesting statement question, quasi question, I guess, that came in. We're hoping to use the T5 series as a gateway for Yealink video conferencing solution. That's a great play. It's one step below full room system immersion, you know, committing yourself to a little bit bigger, beefier type of technology. Stays within the context of, you know, it's still a phone, so it's not super scary, you know, to the non-technical user, and you can kind of wrap your head around using it. And it ties in nicely if you start to talk about the Teams applications, but also Zoom, you know, Blue Jeans, and the variety of other UCaaS-based platforms out there incorporating video. So the T5 phone it's really the next generation. I hate to be all, you know, marketing on that one, but it's really the next step, next generation for Yealink to stay competitive in the IP phone market and build a very dynamic product for a variety of use case scenarios. So a question came in, other than the phone, is there any licensing or special things that need to be set up on the phones themselves? Not usually. I mentioned this before in the T5s and the Zoom question. With the Android phones in particular, if you can get an SDK app to support the specific platform you're trying to connect to, that's always going to be the best bet. Second best would be just go SIP, and you know, these are still IP phones at the end of the day, and you could always, you know, push video if you want to go that route, for example, through the PBX. But no, these phones are pretty good to go. You know, obviously you got to register them to your preferred platform, you know, for call control and things of that nature. But as far as features and things like that, there are no additional licenses you would have to purchase. Question came in, can the Dect cordless handsets be used simultaneously while using the associated T5 phone for two separate calls? The answer is yes. As long as there are two registrations or two extensions, DIDs, what have you, to the base unit. So that's the rub. You know, you have two calls to extension 101. You know, assuming it's a single line phone or what have you, you take one and that line's jammed up. And so if you want to take another call to a separate extension, it can support that. You should be able to park at least one call and pick up the second one. But you can't have two simultaneous, like on the single line, unless you're conferencing. So I hope that is clear enough. Yeah, Giovanni, I'm just reading your question here. I get what you're saying. Be a good conversation to take offline, but I get where you're coming with this, especially how you wrap it up there. Yeah, to have multiple conversations or multiple connections, we'll call it, multiple, you know, sessions, you know, to have multiple sessions going off of a single phone, you'll need multiple registrations. At the end of the day, that's the easiest way I can put it, is if you have multiple sessions, that is, you know, extensions and DIDs, that are not going to require you to constantly park and shift and jump all over each other. You're going to require multiple registrations, which you can all kind of centralize to that phone unit. But to your point, if you're selling registrations, you'll have to kind of make that point clear to your customers. Question came in, does the display connected by HDMI mirror or extend the display? The answer is both. It's up to you. You could set that particular feature to your liking. All right. Well, good deal. That seems to be the end of the questions here. I'm all for more questions if you have them. If not, totally get it. I really appreciate everyone's time. If you got to jump, by all means, get back into your day. We will get this recording up on our website. I'll take a look at who was asking for the slide deck. We'll find a way to share that with you. I'll probably send you a link or some sort of file transfer tool. It's a pretty beefy deck, so we'll have to work on a plan there. But we'll get at you, get you the information you're looking for so you can go out here and sell these phones, answer the questions your customers are asking, I'm sure. So give us a call if you need anything. Take advantage of the programs that Yealink has out to the end of the year. Once that end of the year comes, everything's going to change, as it always does for everything. So take advantage of the programs we have now, especially the ones that Yealink are offering for free and discounted units on the T5 series phones. We're more than happy to get product in your hand if you haven't worked with it in the past, especially if you have opportunities to sell it. We like doing that. So with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you again for everyone taking time out of their day. We will catch you on the next one. Again, my name is Kyle. I'm the vendor business manager here at 888 VoIP. You all enjoy the rest of your day and your week. Take care.